Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. I've been doing this podcast since September of 2012, and boy, are my lips tired. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. Anne Marie is off on the day. She's going to be doing some stuff with some friends, and not sure where Louis is. Hopefully he's going to jump in fairly soon, but until he does, we will persevere because we have a guest joining us today from South Africa, and I was really looking forward to having Louis here because he's also, of course, originally from South Africa, living in the UK now with his family, of course. But I thought it'd be fun to have these two talking. Hey, that may still happen. But I met Maria recently and really was fascinated by her background and what she's gone through in her life. And I figured, this would make an interesting topic for the show. So Maria's an entrepreneur and she has been through the mill in her life. She's been through good times. She's been through some really rough times. One time that she went through that was really rough, she described as it was like having an avalanche fall on you. It wasn't hitting rock bottom. It was being hit by the rocks, which is a very, very tough way to have things happen. But as so often happens with these kinds of situations, she has rebounded in an amazing way. This is a storyline we've heard many times here on the show, talking to many people, talking to co-hosts, talking to guests. It's a fascinating thing how if you really, really hit a hard bottom, sometimes they call it the dark night of the soul, whatever, it's that person who just springboards into amazing things. And that seems to be true for Maria. So Maria, thank you for joining us on the podcast today.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Walt. I'm really honored and humbled, and I sincerely hope that what I have to share with everybody today gives hope, especially during these times, because I can tell you a situation is never hopeless if you keep hoping.
That's true. Yeah, there is no such thing as a hopeless situation. Every situation has hope in it. The question is, can we see it? Yes. And that's going to be part of what we're discussing today. Why don't you I know this is a hard thing to do, but very briefly, tell us about what happened when you hit bottom and then how you climbed out.
It's kind of difficult to actually know where it started, because when it comes to my health, I was in my 20s, late 20s, when I went from doctor to doctor for 5 years, when they told me it's all in the mind. And I knew something was wrong. Eventually, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and my facial pain syndrome. And they told me they don't know what caused it. And there's no cure. So even at that stage, I said they don't know what caused it, so they can't know what's the cure. I'm going to find the cure. Today, they still say the same thing. And I believe we have the cures. And most of it is about a balanced life. I think we don't realize the connection between mind and body. We know there's a connection, but we don't realize how critical it really is. And I've experienced it. So I overworked myself, I burnt out, I left my job, I got retrenched, I got divorced, I lost everything, and literally, due to all that, I decided every time I wanted to do something about my health, I got stuck on the US dollars, and I didn't earn enough to do something about my health. So I decided to find 100% passive income online, and I'm not going to stop until I find it. And that's what I've been doing the past 6.5 years. And I believe I found the way. And while I was in it already, I decided when I find the way, I want to make it easier for others, because it's been a very lonely road, and I had no one to guide me. I didn't have the US dollars to pay for coaches. So I went through every scam that you can think of.
Oh, no.
So part of what I do is scam busting. On a daily basis, 2 to 10 of them. And I don't want other people to walk that road. And as well, it's a foreign field. People don't believe in making money online. They don't believe in passive income because they've been scammed, and there's so many fake programs. The only reason why I find it is because I said I was not going to give up. Many people ask me, when are you going to give up? And I just said, giving up is not an option. I'm going to keep learning until I do it. But it took a lot from me, physically, mentally, in every manner. Financially, because I used to earn a very good salary 20, 50, 25 years ago. And after I lost everything, I started with a salary of around $250 a month.
Wow.
Which is below breadline. And even currently, my half-day job that I have is about $500. So I had to do it from a point of having nothing. So I think that is also something that's different to the norm, because most people, I mean, when you're online and there's a program, they will say it's only $500, it's only $300, it's only $200. And they don't realize that for somebody in a country where the exchange rate is against them, that is a lot of money.
This is true. It's a very good point. It's a story that I can identify with personally, because even though I live in the United States, I went through a time a number of years ago where I felt very much the way you did. I couldn't afford anything. I mean, we were just in really, really bad financial straits. The company that I had started and built up had basically disappeared with the financial crisis of 2008. I went from having about 100 customers to having 0 within the course of about 3 months, because the customers that I had were all very small nonprofit organizations. And of course, those disappeared very quickly with the financial crisis. So yeah, it was a really miserable time. And I know what it's like to you don't even know how to pay for like basic necessities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, unfortunately, and that I've learned as well, when you do something for free, anybody that do coaching and everything online, teaching, they will tell you, if you do something for free, people don't value it, and they don't do it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the 1 or 2 persons who would value it, unfortunately have to live with that as well. But I think that's where the persistence maybe came in. And I just had to find a way to do it. So in the end, I did.
Well, what do you think
I learned
kept you
a lot.
going? Because you said you were persistent. I mean, I already gathered that if I were to look you up in the dictionary, I'd find you next to the word persistence. So I equate that with you. But how did you get that? Where did that come from, do you think?
Hey, that's many people have asked me that. I don't really know. I think I'm just too dumb to know how to give up. Do I go and sit in the middle of the lounge and just say, no, I'm going to stop living? Or
True.
I don't know how to do it. But I do think living with those terrible high pain levels also taught me how to persist. Because fibromyalgia doesn't kill you, but it makes you so miserable that you don't want to live. I'm very fortunate. Most people get depressed, and they've got depression as part of fibromyalgia. The doctors don't know. They ask me as well, how do I do it? Because I don't fit the profile of a fibromyalgia patient. They put me on a diuretics patch, which is a fentanyl patch that's about 300 times stronger than morphine. They normally give it to terminal cancer patients before they die. And it worked very well. But on 2 years, all of a sudden, I had a reaction where my brain wouldn't give my body the orders that it was supposed to do. For instance, I was on the Saturday and I was lying in the bath for 3-4 hours and I couldn't get out. Fortunately, I had the professor's cell phone number, and he told me to take it off immediately. Long story short, it was the most scary experience of my life, but that made me understand what a deep depression felt like. At that stage, I actually told my GP that you can amputate both my arms and my legs at the same time, and I'll be able to cope with it. But I can't cope with what I have to deal with now. And especially because I didn't know whether it was going to go away. I didn't know whether it was permanent. Fortunately, 2 months later, it was gone. But that again made me realize what depression feels like. And all these things that I've went through made me, it humbled me. I don't judge. I try to put myself in other people's shoes. It's almost impossible to do that because you never know what somebody else is going through.
Sure.
But because life leveled me, not even leveled me like I said, it took me underground. It made me a nobody. It made me invisible, where people didn't know who I was, what my abilities were, my personality, my character, my talents. And I became invisible and a nobody. And it was interesting. During that time, I read a lot. And I actually read a book where the guy said, sometimes God makes you a nobody to make you a somebody. Not like in an important person, but he teaches you all these things. So I kind of compared to most people, I don't judge at all. Doesn't matter what or who, I don't judge. But
that's a great trait.
As a human, we tend to do it anyway. So I still do it. But I think at a much lesser level than most people.
It's a wonderful trait to have.
Yes, it is.
Because
that's why also I help anybody as long as they want to change their lives, as long as they have a dream, and as long as they're prepared to do the work. I often find that you would give somebody all these 6+ years on a golden platter, and they don't do anything with it. So they don't value you and your time. And that's why I started, people have to apply, and I ask them certain questions. Because my time and my health is extremely valuable to me. And I'm working to get that balance back and to get my health back. And my daughter of 16 has the condition from the age of about 2 years old.
Wow.
So she's got fibromyalgia as well. I've got fibromyalgia, myofascial pain syndrome, Tietze syndrome, and I've got markers of ankylosing spondylitis as well in my blood, but I don't think I have it. It's my personal opinion. I don't have the symptoms. Those other three are very similar. I just call them fibromyalgia.
Do you consider yourself to be healing?
Yes. Yes, without a doubt. I used to work in macadamia factories. I loved it, but I burnt myself out. And I think part of the lesson there was I started overworking to keep my mind off the pain. And there was emotional pain with it. But I didn't realize how important that connection was. After about 17 years of marriage, I ended it because I could literally see the effect it had on me physically. And I've also learned I should have done it earlier. But then it's my character that if I did it earlier, I wouldn't know that I've tried everything.
We do it when we do it.
17 years, yes,
we
after 17 years, I knew I've tried everything, and then I walked away.
Yeah, so you did what you needed to do, which was the thing to do. Could you have done it earlier? I mean, sure, we could second guess that all day long.
Yes, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't help to look back. That's one of the things is I don't look back. Many people said I should write a book. And I said, no, I don't have the time. I'm concentrating on now and where I'm going. But maybe now that I'm with Joel Bauer, I actually thought I might do it now because it fits the whole picture.
Why don't you talk about that for a moment, how you found Joel Bauer and what you've been learning through that program?
I actually just started a month and a half ago, and I found an advertisement on Facebook. And he's actually still there. They can just go and search Joel Bauer workshops. He's doing an amazing, he's never advertised. He's never had a student that failed in his whole 39 years. And he guarantees you if you follow the steps and you do what he tells you, you will make a success. And in that 3 days workshop, he gives you all the tools that you need for free. And it is just amazing. I also believe that, like we talked about law of attraction earlier before the broadcast started, I believe he came to me at the right time, at the right moment. If he came earlier, I wouldn't be able to do it. And there were still things, there are always things that need to happen so that you are ready for the mentor. That old thing of when you are ready, the teacher appears.
Yes, that does happen all the time.
Yes, yes.
I have another question, too. You mentioned, I think this was before we actually started the podcast, although it could have been afterward, but these things tend to blur in my mind. So if we started during the podcast, listeners, forgive me. But you mentioned earlier to me that in your mind there's a difference between between passion and purpose. And I was wondering, could you elaborate on that?
Since before I went to school, I wanted to be an artist. And always I had a passion for art, and I always wanted to travel. I said I will die without a cent in the bank, but I want to see the world. And after I've been to Singapore, Australia, and London for work, it got even worse. I think that's one of the things that also made me persist, other than I want to heal myself and I want my daughter's health, is I want to see the world. I want to be a full-time artist. So when I lost everything, I decided, but I've got nothing more to lose. I even lost all our photos. I used to take lots of photos. I even lost all our photos 3 times during my life.
Wow.
And I'm a person who would every Friday back up my whole computer. So I'm not somebody that would not do it. But everything that happened to me, losing everything, I think I used to be a kind of a control freak when I was younger. It taught me to learn, it taught me to live more in the moment. My motto became, do the best you can, to the best of your ability, with what you have in front of you, and God and the universe will see to the rest. It doesn't help worrying about it, you just make yourself sick. And it doesn't help dragging the past behind you. So my passion is art and travel. Actually, not just art, anything creative, gardening, any form of creativity, design, art, just not singing. I don't even sing in the shower.
Well, then we won't ask you to.
Please don't.
No auditions here.
Often, when you ask somebody what's their purpose, they don't know. And we don't know. And what I've found through what I've learned, and it actually came out now with Joel Bauer's training that I've done as well, is often your pain and what you've gone through actually becomes your purpose. Because somebody else in the world out there has that same pain and that same problem. And if you can solve that problem for someone else, it becomes your purpose. And then if you combine it with what would you do if money wasn't an issue at all? What would you do for free?
Good question.
if money wasn't an issue at all, what would you get up in the morning and what would you do for free? Mm-hmm. And for me, it is helping people. And going back to what I've been through, and with the situation we have now in the world, mentally, COVID did not impact me because I've been through much tougher things. Mm. So mentally, I was doing well, and I was online. I'm actually in lockdown still by my company because of my autoimmune disorders.
Oh, okay.
To keep me safe. So
sure.
People ask me, how are you able to be in such isolation? And it's also because the people that I connected with became people online. Because I do self-development, I'm in a strange field of crypto trading, robots. And it's add the combination of art and that stuff to it. It's quite a strange combination.
It is. There's no doubt about that.
So my company became people online. The people that I follow, like De Martini and Joe Bauer and Tony Robbins, Dan Locke, all those kind of people became my company. And I think that's why COVID didn't impact me that much psychologically as well, other than that I am psychologically quite strong. I mean, you had your tough days. I had one on Sunday again where everything was just too much. But my motto when I have those days as well, I get in the bath, I cry, I go to sleep, and tomorrow morning I start all over again. Even if I lose everything or I got scammed out of everything, that was my motto as well. That was today. Tonight I get in the bath, I cry if I have to cry. Tomorrow morning I start all over again, but I am going to do it. So
that certainly is a persistent attitude.
Passion and purpose. Yes, I had no choice. I had to either give up or do something. And I think it's just, I don't know. I don't know where it comes from.
Well, it comes from within, doesn't it? I mean, you are who you are because of what you think, what you focus your attention on, what you have given your greatest emotional feeling for. Those are the things that make up who you are. And when you put those together, it becomes a very strong package in your case because you went through some really tough times, and that makes you stronger.
I think what people don't realize, it's like forgiveness. It's not a feeling. It's a decision. It's a decision that you have to take. Because, for instance, when I got divorced, I had that resentment. I had a very happy childhood. And that's all I wanted for my children and for myself. And I had that resentment in me. But I decided to not allow my future to be impacted. I already lost part of my 17 years. It wasn't always bad. There's always a balance. And it's a decision. You make a decision that you're going to forgive somebody, even if you don't feel like it. And one day you will just realize, but it is gone. It doesn't matter anymore. And I think it's the same with most things. The decision must come before the feeling. It's a decision that you must make. Doesn't matter how you feel.
That decision is a very potent thing because, first of all, in order to come to a decision, you have to know your own mind. And until you know your own mind, it's really hard to decide anything.
But do we ever know our mind, really? Is it not ever evolving?
All the time.
I mean, when you're young, you think you know your mind. But now, I realize I didn't at that time.
See, to me, the mind is not just what's in the brain. It's the combination of the brain and the heart. The two together create the mind space, so to speak.
I'll be honest. One of the things I believe made me persist and made me as strong as I am is my childhood. Because I had this tremendous, happy childhood, I believe my foundations and my values are strong and grounded. If I have to choose again, I would choose again to have the happy childhood and the difficult adult. Not the other way around. Because I think if I did not have the childhood I had, I might have not been strong enough to have handled what I had to.
It basically gave you a grounding. It gave you a foundation to build the life on.
Yes. Like you say, I knew who I was. I knew what I would and wouldn't do, what I believed in.
So what do you say to somebody who has trouble knowing who they are? Maybe they come from a background where their childhood was far less than desirable. How do you help them to find that person that they are deep inside?
There's so many resources today. First thing is to not be a victim. That's the very first thing. There are people who will always be victims. I actually find it very difficult. I can't work at all with a victim. And that's because of my past, as a certain part of my past when I was married. I cannot work with a victim at all. I find it very difficult. I do not understand it, and I don't want to work with it. Somebody must be.
And I don't think you want to understand it either.
No. But in a way, I wonder, while I was married, I was very young, I was 21 when I got married, and I got ill. I wonder if I wasn't at that stage in my early fibromyalgia and not being happy with what was happening in my marriage, if I wasn't a victim myself. I think so. I had to move through it.
What do you think you learned from that?
Anybody, if they really want to, can move out of being a victim. Unless there's something I don't understand when it comes to psychology. I'm not trained, so if you have psychopathic or those traits, I don't know, often they can't see things the way we see it, or whether I don't understand that part. But if you do not have psychological issues, then you need to move and get out of it. Otherwise, you're going to get nowhere in life.
Well, I have no more psychological training than you have, although I do have perhaps the advantage of being married to a former psychotherapist, and let me tell you that is quite valuable at times. So I picked some stuff up that way. Oh, there's no doubt about that. But what I can tell you, my own view of the whole matter is any person who is dealing with any kind of psychological issue, no matter what it is, they ended up getting there in the first place in some form through what they gave their attention to. Now, it doesn't mean that they didn't have outside influences, that perhaps they weren't abused or something like that. Yes, of course, that kind of thing does happen. But nevertheless, there is always that one clear path that I've seen with everybody I've ever met who I could identify as having, some sort of problem going on, psychologically speaking. There's not been a single exception that I can think of where they themselves weren't reinforcing that which they had become. And they were reinforcing it on a daily basis, usually on an hour-to-hour basis, often second to second. So regardless of what our circumstances are.
You become what you focus on.
You do. It really is true.
If you focus on the problems, you're going to get problems all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fortunately, I don't have to give away my age, but before the internet existed, I started reading Dr. John DeMartini's books.
Ah, yes.
And I've learned a lot from him. I was actually listening to a video just now on YouTube, just before I came on, and I just thought how amazing he explains these things, how everything is about balance, how you have to live congruent with your highest values, and he's got tremendous knowledge and teachings. I think if there's one single person that can get you out of victimship, I think it's Dr. DeMartini.
Dr. DeMartini? Sure, why not? Hey, the man is something of a legend. I mean, he probably achieved his peak in popularity with the movie The Secret, but like you said, he'd been around for quite some time and helping a lot of people for a long time.
I mean, if you look at his health, I mean, he's 63 and he still travels and speaks. And
oh, yeah.
He's got energy it's just amazing. I try to learn as much as I can from him. And because he's got the science and how the brain works and the quantum physics and the psychology and the words, I mean, the whole combination and the package he's got in one person. And his story as well. I mean, I assume you know his story.
I don't know all of it, no. Fill in some details for me.
When he was 6 or 7 years old, a teacher in front of him told his parents he would never be able to read or become anything.
Right, I knew that part, yeah.
Yes, and then, I mean, if you look at what he's doing today, I mean, he's a scientist, he's a mathematician, he's a chiropractor. I don't think there's anything that he's not. It's just unbelievable that somebody, and it just shows you how one child, and that's what I don't understand. There are many children who are told the same thing. But he as well, he almost died, I think, at the age of 16 or 17. And that's where he had his epiphany. And that's where it started. And he actually, from the age of 17, knew he wants to travel and teach.
Yeah. That scene plays out so many
it's
times.
The old thing, it's the old thing like a family. The father drinks too much and beats up the mother. There's two boys. The one goes the one way and the other one goes the other way. I don't know why.
I think it's because we are all individuals. And every single person is going to have a different perspective on how their lives are and what they see in life and what they think about life. And whatever those different perspectives are going to lead to different results. But we have this tendency as a global culture, I think, to believe that children they become what they are taught. But that isn't really true.
No,
that's not really
all.
true at all. In fact, the evidence for that is actually very weak. The much stronger evidence is who are they? Where do they come from in terms of who they are? Not in terms of who their parents are. Certainly parents have a major influence.
Yes, you have a major influence, but they are born with a personality and something in them. My daughter is totally the opposite of me. It's nothing like me.
Nothing like you.
Not at all. Scared of the small spiders while Mommy will catch them and put the big spiders out. Mommy was the real tomboy. I've got this fairy, wonderful, amazing child, but she's nothing like me. But I love her for that fact that she's totally different. But it's something interesting when you talk now about the perspective. Is something that I've learned as well is people always have to give their opinion. When I was younger, I also used to give my opinion all the time and I talked a lot. And I think it's the things that I've been through taught me to listen more as well.
It's a very powerful skill.
And to realize that my opinion is exactly just that. My opinion doesn't make it a fact. And it's just my opinion out of what I've experienced. The person who I am giving the opinion to doesn't have that perspective at all. And often we will give our opinion as if it's a fact, and your opinion can often make life very difficult for someone else because you think your opinion is a fact while it's just your opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would perhaps say it a little bit differently, but it comes down to the same thing. The way I think of it is any opinion that I have, I can turn into a fact in my world. But the moment that I try to turn into a fact in somebody else's world, well, first of all, I can't do that. And second of all, even if I could do it, I would, like you say, I would mess up their world. Because it's for my world. I created it for me.
And
I can't
just
create
wish
for somebody
more
else.
people, I try to give that message, but sometimes it feels like I'm speaking in an alien language. People just don't understand what I'm saying.
Welcome to LOA Today. We do that all the time.
I'm glad there's some other aliens out there.
Oh, yes. There are a bunch of us
I
floating around
see
here
you
in
are
outer space.
there amidst the stars behind you. And
That's
I see
right,
behind
exactly.
me there is an alien hand as well,
That's right,
connecting
yes.
with a human hand. Yes, that's the other thing that happened is I've always been interested in trading. So I trade myself and I'm in crypto, but it's not for everyone. And when they said robots were going to take our jobs, I decided to see how I can put the robots and trading together for myself. And that's how I started learning about all these scams. And I think what actually happened is because I clicked on the scams, the Google algorithms sent me more.
Oh, sure.
Because I can't explain to you. I think I've learned every scam there is. I don't think there's a scam that I don't know. I actually even developed this gut feel. When I see a profile and when I see the way somebody speaks to me, I know. After 6.5 years, after being through so many, I've got this gut feel. But then because I have been scammed, I'm never 100% sure. And I still have this thing inside me where I want to give the other person the benefit of the doubt.
Sure. I think it's a natural human trait.
But sometimes I shouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt. So I don't want to get arrogant about my scamming abilities and knowing them because they develop all the time. And some of them are really professional. They are trained psychologically. And I mean, some sites even, I, for instance, do not market any of the sites that I make money on. But I share my link with the other person when I want to help them. Because if they go search for a name on the internet, they get scammed. Because the scammers copy the real sites so well that I can't see the difference. So how is anybody that's not into it going to see the difference? And then they get scammed that way.
I know what you mean. My background actually is in IT, and I used to design websites
I'm
for a
so
living.
glad I met you.
Well, one of the things that I learned over the years was how to know which is which when I'm dealing with something. So I become a go-to person for people in my life, my wife and family and so forth. Fortunately, I'm not the only one. My brother also has the same ability. He's a software programmer. So between the two of us, we kind of split up the duty. But anyway, we get a lot of people asking about stuff. And they are very, very well put together in many cases. A lot of scammers are very, very
some of them are really easy or unprofessional,
yeah,
but some of them are
but some of them are
I
very
always
clever.
tell people don't feel bad when you got scammed because they always say, how could I be so stupid? And I said, no, you were not stupid. They were very clever. They know what they're doing, psychologically and everything. Well, I don't have that advantage. I studied occupational therapy for a year, and then I told my parents, no, that's not what I want to do. Then I went and I studied fashion design and pattern making. So a very weird combination, and then I ended up designing and managing macadamia processing plants.
Wow.
And that was, in the end, my passion.
Yeah. Interesting,
But though I must say that the trading has always been an interest. So I did my first course in Forex trading in my late 20s, early 30s. When
And that's an example
from Houston came to give a course in Johannesburg. So I went to Johannesburg and I did the course there. But I never got to do it because of the internet.
And that's an example of a field that's certainly not for everybody. I mean, it's
not
very
for everybody.
easy to go wrong in that field. That's a high-risk field. You have to know what
Yes,
you're doing in that field.
but the reality is, isn't everything in life like that? You can't just become a
sure.
doctor by reading on the internet or a bookkeeper. And it's the same with trading. You have to study it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's
yeah.
no varsity courses that teach it. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure there ever could be, because it's constantly shifting and changing. How could you possibly teach that?
Yes, but there is a college or something in London, I know, teaching it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there must be more. I know about the one in London.
Mm-hmm.
So technical analysis are basics, but I mean most people learn it all by themselves online.
Sometimes the hard way.
Yep, ask me.
That's good, right?
It seems I had to learn everything the hard way. I didn't want the easy way.
Oh, that is funny, though. Let's talk a little bit about mindset, because I think mindset plays a pretty significant role in what you've described to us about your story and how you call it persistence. I call that mindset. You develop a mindset, you maintain a mindset, and you stick with it.
Yes.
So if I were to describe it as mindset, what do you think, how would you describe your mindset?
I think I'm so focused on where I want to be, what I want, or where I'm going, that I'm not allowing anything to distract me.
Focus. That's a really important concept, I believe.
Yes. Because, I mean, my pain levels are tremendously high. Most fibromyalgia patients have it in a certain region, like the shoulders or the upper body or hips or whatever. I literally have it from under my feet, my hands, up to the back of my neck.
Wow.
Every 3 to 4 months, they give me trigger point injections, 34 at a time, because they can't give me more, because there's lignocaine in it, and if they give me more, my heart will stop.
Mm-hmm.
So if the lignocaine isn't in there, if it's only the saline, they can give me up to 80 to 100. There's never enough time and enough injections to get to all the trigger points. But that's why the health part is also a big passion of mine. I've learned a lot, but I'm more like a knowledge broker, because I'm not a doctor or a specialist.
Sure.
It is such a complex field. And that's why I want to do the summits on the health side. To bring together the knowledge.
That's the thing I need to explain to the audience, because that's where you and I met. We met through a summit program that Selena Dorsey has offered. And that's where I realized that you were a good fit for doing the show here. The thing that I keep coming back to, though, is mindset. And the reason I think about mindset is a major component of most self-healing modalities that I've ever heard of. I know Dr. Martini talks about it. DeMartini talks about it. Joe Dispenza, big thing with him is mindset. A lot of these people who teach various kinds of healing modalities focus on mindset. So I'm curious about that with you.
I think it's taking responsibility for your own health and for your own life and for your own finances and for your own everything, for what you want, or what you want to stand for. Most patients give everything to the doctor, and the doctor has to fix them.
Yes, you don't want that.
They don't take responsibility for their own health and trying to find ways of how they can heal themselves, their own psychology, their own finances. It comes back again to kind of victim. The doctor has to fix me. The psychologist has to fix me. Whoever's got to fix my finances. And something I would like to tell everybody out there, whether you're male, female, healthy, ill, whatever, nobody's coming to rescue you. You've got to rescue yourself. whether it's your health, your finances, and that means taking responsibility. That's why I say I think it comes back to taking responsibility. Doesn't matter your situation. Doesn't matter how bad it is or how good it is. Everybody has to take responsibility for their own situation.
Do you feel that you will be able to heal yourself to the point where you are pain-free?
Yes, I know it for a fact.
You know it for a fact?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. If I say I'm 1,000% better than I was in my 20s and 30s, I told my daughter, I think I'm going to be the first granny who's going to be on roller skates in the old age home.
I'd pay to see that one. That would be cool.
Well, I'm still going to do all those things on my list. I said, I'm going to travel, I'm going to do all those things that's on my list that I wanted to do when I was younger. So as soon as she's old enough to be self-reliant, then I know, then I'm going to do those things.
Then you're going to go do them.
If I drop to my death with a parachute or flying suit, I know she's fine.
Very
I think the
understandable.
other thing as well is that will, that wanting to live the life that you always wanted. Doesn't matter what happened to me, and that it doesn't happen to you. It's something that you move through and that you have to learn from. I also don't think everything that happens to you is because you made bad decisions. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. But it also depends on how you react to what happens. Like they always say, it's not what happens to you, it's the way you react to it that
Your
makes
response.
the difference. Doesn't matter. I mean, even now, there are really difficult days. I've got high levels of pain. I've got migraines all the time. I'm always tired. And I still have to work. It forced me, and that's what forced me to search for 100% passive income. And 99.9% of them are scams. But because I persisted, I found that 0.1%. And I keep finding them because I keep testing. I'm not stopping. So that's what I want to do in my membership program. I want to show people how to do it for free to help people. But then those who sign up for membership, every month I'm going to add a new platform and show them how a new platform works. And then I want to do the summits on the health sides. But like I say, it's so complex because it's the psychology, it's your gut health, it's cold showers, there's so many things that's involved. And I mean, for instance, fibromyalgia, they put under rheumatoid arthritis. But it's actually not inflammation.
Right.
It's a neurological condition. And that goes back to stress and diet and the way you live. But if you work full day and you're under the stress that you are financially and physically and you're ill, you cannot fix it. It's not possible. That's why I started with a passive income, so that you have that stress removed from you. And then from there on, you've got the finances to start doing the tests and the treatments because they all cost money.
I know you said that 99.9% of the options that you found for a passive income proved to be scams, but you found the one that did work. The question that I have for you is, do you believe in your heart of hearts that there are many different kinds of passive incomes that people can create for themselves, or is it a very limited subset?
No, there are many. The problem is to find them. That's the biggest problem. And part of what I teach is the mistake many people do, if they find something that works, because many of the fake and scam and Ponzi things, they work for a while, some of them up to 5 years before they brought down. But what people do is they find one, and then they are so desperate that they push it and they push it and they push it too big. And one of the things I teach is to add another one and another one and another one, and to withdraw your initial seed money as soon as you can and grow it with the profits you get, so that you end up with 5 or 10 or 20 or 50, whatever is comfortable for you. Let's say you have 50 and each of them have $3,000 or $10,000 in, depending on your capacity and what you have. If one of them folds and closes overnight, the website closes down, you won't feel it. But if you have one of them with 500,000 in and it closes down, then you're in trouble. It's the old thing of don't put all your eggs in one basket. People know it, but they still do it.
Oh, sure. But that's the investor's mindset. The investor's mindset is don't invest in one stock or in one bond or whatever.
Exactly.
Invest in a whole
it's a
basket
basic,
of them.
It's a basic thing.
Yeah.
But then what happens is, because most of them are scam, they find one that's working at that moment. And then they pump all their funds in there and they grow it, and then it closes down. And then the pension and everything is gone.
Right.
So that's just some of the advice I give. So I share the platforms that I have and why they work and how I check them. Most people as well, when I say, what DD have you done, when they introduce me to something, because everybody market these things. They sign up and then they start marketing them. Oh, yeah. And when I ask them, what's your DD, or have you done your DD, they ask me, what is DD? They don't know what's due diligence. Yes. They don't know what I'm talking about. I said, who's the owner? How old is the company? What is the ROI per day? If it's 10%, there's no way. You can immediately know it's a scam if they give you 10% or even 2% a day. Now with crypto and stuff, you can get 10% a month. With your robots and stuff, but you still have to be very careful. You still have to do your DD, etc. So what I do is I test these platforms. I do my DD, I test them, and then they have to run for quite a while, and I watch many things. And based on that, I will say, okay, I will invest in this one and that one. And also I've built up a network of other people who's doing it too. So we're starting to build up a network of people that test other things than what I'm testing. And eventually we share with each other.
You've created a mastermind group.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
So that's more or less, that's the basics.
That's very good.
And what Joel is now teaching is the mentality, how to market, how to, the language, he teaches everything. It's amazing.
Very cool. I like this. I'm trying to find a way to pull all this together because we only have about 6 minutes left. So I'm trying to imagine, okay, how do I bring this into one nice little bow that I can tie together neatly?
It's quite difficult.
Yeah, it's a challenge. You do this often enough, you kind of get used to the fact that sometimes you're just not going to. And you have to kind of live with that. But I try to do it whenever I
don't even try anymore.
You don't even try?
I don't try anymore. No, I don't try. And like I say, I want my passion, and what I want to do is I want to be a full-time artist, traveling the world, earning passively and with robots on my trading accounts, and I want to help other people. So that's my plan, and that's where I'm heading. And I want to do the summit side for the health side to assist people.
Interesting thing in there, and this might be the thing to talk about for the last few minutes. You've outlined a few times now what it is that you're looking for, what your dream is, what your passion is in that sense, what you're trying to pursue. What's not listed in there is being pain-free. That's an interesting thing. Why is that?
That's part of being healthy.
Oh, that's being healthy. Okay.
Yeah.
So taking the concept of pain out.
First is making the passive money. Then I'm going to give more attention to my health. I'm already giving attention to my health by doing fermented foods, cold showers, sleep patterns, many things. I make my own yogurt, my own fermented foods for gut healing. The cold showers for activating the vagus nerve. Sleep patterns. That's actually something with fibromyalgia. That's the very first thing. If I sleep, one night I don't sleep properly, the next day I'm as ill as can come. Just one night. So that makes it quite difficult doing my trainings in US times and going through the night, that kind of thing. So that's my next step. And I'm going to do the same with the health. I'm going to test certain things and do them so I can say to other people, okay, I tested this. This is what worked for me. But people will know, people that's got fibromyalgia knows everybody is different. But there are basic things like if your system is alkaline, you can't get ill. It starts in the gut. You need proper sleep. If you do cold showers, it activates the vagus nerve, it activates your immune system, etc., etc. Those things I've tested already. I used to get flu and colds all the time. And my daughter will come home with a 3-day cold, and I'll be down with flu for 2 weeks. And this year, the beginning of the year, I got a flu when she came home, and I started doing the cold showers. Even in July, I got into the pool in the Free State, which is really cold. People thought I was totally crazy, and I could only stay in for a minute. But I mean, I follow somebody like Wim Hof. I don't know if you know of him.
No.
He climbs in the ice. He climbs the highest mountains in a pair of shorts.
Oh, jeez.
And he literally, they did a test at a university, I think it was in Holland, where he fought, they injected them with E. coli. Him and 12 others. Everybody got ill except him. And he did it with mindset, breathing, and that just shows you how strong the mind is. He's got a breathing exercise in the morning that takes you, let's say, maximum 5 or 10 minutes. And if you do that, it's almost like hyperventilating, but it's a specific method. It takes your up on cell level, it makes all your cells alkaline.
Wow.
So it's small things that one can do to change it. But we tend to not do those small things. And we know finally, we shouldn't eat sugar and gluten and all these
there's all
preservatives, that, sure. But we still do.
Yeah, we do. Before you go, is there some way that people can reach out to you if they are interested in learning more about your program and what you teach?
Yes, they're more than welcome. They can contact me at mariaslifegifts@gmail.com, or otherwise the other email that they can use is, let me just make 100% sure, makepassivemoneynow@gmail.com.
makepassivemoneynow@gmail.com. All right. Well, that's as clear as it can be. I have to say,
tried to make it easy.
You did, and you succeeded beautifully, I would have to say.
This is Maria's Life Gifts is the other one. mariaslifegifts@gmail.com.
Oh, you got some good ones there. So this is one of the most interesting and unusual interviews I've ever conducted, but I want to thank you for taking the time to come join us on the program and to share your story and share some of your insights. Really, it's been very educational. Very interesting.
And I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Walt.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you in
some out there.
I'm looking forward to seeing you again in the coaching program too. So we'll see you there too.
No question, you're going to see me there.
All right, very good.
Just a bit too much at the moment. I don't have enough US hours left.
Oh dear, yes, and it is late there. You're working on midnight right there, so yes. Thank you very much in that way too. So thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere, and we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.